Hello and welcome to Esther's Gardening Adventures. I'm Esther and I'm sitting in the backyard in the afternoon and it's only 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and only might sound weird to you, but that's actually a really good temperature compared to the kind of heat wave that we've been having. We've had temperatures in the afternoon reach 100 degrees for multiple days within a week, I think 3 days in a row last week. And it's just been really, really hard on the plants, as you'll see, in the garden. But it is cool enough today, even though it's still very humid, that I can actually get out in the garden and give you a tour of what's going on in my 2 community garden plots, as well as our front yard and our backyard. And you might notice I have a tape measure in my hand, and if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll see why. We had a near miss for a huge accident in our backyard that I'm going to show you at the end of this video, that I'm just so grateful that we weren't hurt. But okay, let's get to it. So here's one of my 2 community garden plots, which is both of these rows here that go back to the fence. Up front, we have eggplants. They've been struggling a bit, although one of them is producing some fruit. Let's see how it looks. Got a little bit of a fruit going on here, but you can see how much it's struggling with the sand fleas. And I think it's got some kind of disease on it too. But I've been trying to water them and keep up with them, and they seem to be doing a little better. But yeah, these eggplants have been struggling this year. This row of eggplants is doing slightly better, but still struggling. You can see some leaves, fresh leaves coming in, but they are really struggling this year. This one has some fresh leaves coming in as well. We've got one little purple eggplant here that's quite small that I might harvest just to let the plant have a break. But look at these bell peppers. They're doing really good overall. Have some gorgeous, gorgeous purple bell peppers. These are lilac bell peppers. Some of them have been struggling with some disease spots, but they've been doing pretty good overall. They've stayed a little bit smaller, on the smaller side, and I think that's been my experience with these in general, that they don't... Okay, I don't want to take off the whole branch, come on. But isn't that a gorgeous purple color? They've been bigger than this, but this heat wave's kind of kept them from getting too much bigger. Do you know with peppers, once they turn colors, are they kind of done growing, or will they continue to grow bigger? If you know that, let me know, so I'll know whether to leave them on or go ahead and harvest them when they get to their peak color. And you can see here, I've got a ton of bell peppers growing on this plant. So I've been having a good steady harvest of bell peppers so far this year. In comparison, these pepper plants, which I started indoors also, but I didn't get transplanted out till late June, are also doing okay, but they're not quite as productive. So getting pepper plants out early really does make a huge difference. All right, let's talk about tomatoes now. This tomato plant here is an example of how my tomato plants have been struggling. Now this one's been hit the worst, and it's a, what are you, baby? Let's see. This is a green zebra tomato plant, and it really just can't handle the heat. It's not been any disease or anything like that, but when we had temperatures for 3 days in a row that hit 100, the leaves just shriveled up. It just gave up. The core leaves stayed green, you could see, but even they are shrivelly. So we'll see. Now, one of the things, if you have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of tomatoes ripening early compared to the other tomatoes, you might want to check the bottoms of them. And the reason I say this is they might look like this. This is blossom end rot. And this happens, I've been told, when tomatoes can't get the calcium from the soil to the fruit. And in my experience, it happens the most at the early start of the season. And almost all of my tomato plants this year have had tomatoes that blossom end rot. And your best bet in this case is, one, to try to water them more consistently. But in the heat, sometimes I think they just stop taking up water, and there might not be much you can do to make sure they get enough water. But if you find something that has spots like this, or a big bottom like this that's all blackened out, just toss it. The tomato plant will put a ton of energy into trying to help this ripen, and it needs to be putting energy elsewhere, because you're not going to eat this. Some people go ahead and eat them. I don't. I haven't ever tried it, and I honestly don't want to. Now, I see a ripened tomato in here, and I haven't felt the bottom of it. And, okay, so this is from the same plant, and the good news is this one ripened just fine. So you can see some of the tomatoes are doing better than others on the same plant. And with green zebra, you do want to harvest it when it starts getting a little bit of that yellow shoulder, because if it gets fully yellow all the way around, you want it to still be a little bit stiff, because if it gets fully yellow all the way around, it'll get kind of mealy. So this is the perfect time to harvest this. I could take this in probably one day, maybe two, it'd be perfect to eat. So I have a little basket, but I don't have it here. But you can see how much this tomato has struggled. And this is one of the ones that has the drip irrigation, the underground oyas, the clay terracotta pots, and it just hasn't really been able to survive, even with that help, even with me watering it. Whereas this is a Celebrity Girl that I got from a garden center. You can see that while it's got some disease coming on with the leaves, in general, it's been pretty healthy, and I've had pretty good luck. I've harvested 3 ripe tomatoes off of this one already. And some of this looks like they just need more nutrition. I'm going to be fertilizing everybody today. So you can see the contrast is some tomato plants are handling it okay, while others are not. Like, look at this potato leaf dwarf over here. This is a summer sunrise dwarf tomato. And although some of the leaves are getting diseased, which happens in the summer, a lot of the tomatoes are looking like they're doing good. I have had to take some off. You can see here I've had to take some off that have blossom end rot, but I think I'll get some good tomatoes from this plant, and overall it's looking pretty healthy. You can also see down this row that the tomatoes, the plants are struggling, but I'm getting new healthy leaves at the top and blossoms, so that's a great sign. Now we've got a couple in here that look like they're ready to harvest, and yep, sure enough, blossom end rot. Let's see this one. Yep, blossom end rot. That's such a shame. So what I do is I go around and I'll check even the ones that aren't ripe, and I'll take them out if they've got blossom end rot, because I really don't want the plant wasting any time on any tomatoes that have this problem. It almost kind of looks like rings on a tree, doesn't it? Such a shame. See, just look underneath. You can kind of tell that one's no bueno. You can also kind of feel if it feels kind of mushy and flattened. That's usually a sign. All right, I think that's it for these. So that's a good thing, although I have already picked a whole bunch off. Yeah, see, the bottoms of these look okay. Like, look at that. Those look fine. Yay! I have this stick in here so that if any critters get in, any bugs, anything, they can climb out of the water. I don't like drowned critters in my water, which has happened before. Okay, this is fish food. It's 511. I just put a couple gloops of that in. Stinky stuff. Be aware that you get on your hand will smell like it for a while. And then I put some of this 0-10-10 more bloom in. This isn't like a tried and true formula. This is definitely something I'm trying this time, so I'll let you know if it works. But put a couple glugs of that in. And then where's my handy dandy stirring stick? Just stir it around a little. And then I go water the base of a bunch of different plants. And I'm not looking to do like a full watering. I do that at another time. There we go. Let's see. Oh great, that one doesn't have blossom and rot. That's good. You can see the green zebra here, same variety as I planted in the other garden, is bigger, and while some of the branches did die, most of the plant has survived, and I attribute that to the fact that these trees give shade in the afternoon here. So from about 5 o'clock on, these guys get shade. And the ones back there get shade starting around 3:30, 4 o'clock. There's no tomatoes back there, but there's squash back there that's doing really well. So I think that additional shade is really helping. But look, I think we have a ripe. Now, fingers crossed that she is not blossom and rot. Oh yeah, fully ripe green zebra tomato. So that's awesome. And there's some ripe tomatoes over there I'm going to take you to. But let's see how everybody else is doing. This is the Fakel tomato, which produces a beautiful red tomato. I've had quite a few blossom end rots on that I've had to remove. This is my persimmon tomato. This is another of the dwarf. This is emerald green dwarf, and you can see over there, I just tossed out a couple blossom end rots on that one. This is the purple pineapple tomato, and this is what I'm really excited to see. Looks like the tomatoes are doing pretty good from the ones I haven't had to take off. Finu Cherry's ribbed red tomato. Over here, I just picked a cherry tomato from this. It's a yellow one. And then we've got a good number of cherry tomatoes coming on this guy. Cherry tomatoes are always the first to ripen in the summer. Oh yeah, it's gonna be nice. This is a Gujarat village tomato, so that was from India. And that explains why this one's doing okay, because it's really meant to handle the kind of conditions we've been having here. And this one is Sunrise Sauce, which is different than the Sunrise Sunset on the other side of the garden. But look how pretty this is. This one's ready to harvest. Oh, that's going to make a beautiful sandwich. Over here, you can tell, even though I weeded a bunch of the amaranth out, the purple plants, that a good number of them escaped, but I'm allowing them to grow. I've got a couple of squash and zucchini here. I've got like a watermelon one growing in these weeds. I'm leaving the weeds mostly as part of cover for the plant to see if that helps protect it and help it grow. And then I've got some patty pan squash coming in. These have kind of stopped producing. That's the last patty pan that's produced. I think it's just because the heat's been too much. Possible the vine borers and others have gotten to them too, but I see some blossoms, so that's cool. This is featherleaf lettuce, the volunteered from last year. I've actually never harvested and eaten it. It is edible and it's pretty good, but I just think it's such a cool looking plant that I just love letting it grow. This is what's left of purple milkweed, which is actually quite hard to grow in my area, and I've been watering it to keep it alive because I had a hard time getting those seeds and starting those winter sowing, so I want to keep this plant alive. This is a vining. I'll look up the exact name of it, but oh, that looks like poison ivy over there. Oh, that might be a bean. So is this one, and these are crookneck. Look how giant these are. These are crookneck, yellow crookneck squash. Oh yeah, we've got a couple ready to harvest. Let me hand down in here without getting all the prickles. Oh yeah, that's gonna make for a nice meal. Looking forward to harvesting that. I see another one in there. I'm gonna get that tomorrow. Now you don't want to leave them too long because they will get giant very fast, but this is about the right size to harvest them. And over here we have some more peppers, and that is a Cinderella pumpkin that hasn't produced any fruit yet, but hopefully it will soon. Now right outside my front door, I have some seedlings getting some sun exposure, getting some acclimation to the sun. These are zinnias, celosia, basil, and sunflowers. And this is part of a new cut flower garden project that I've started, and I'll talk more about that in a future episode. But I wanted to give you a heads up. I plan on transplanting these tonight when the sun is going down and give them time to get settled a little bit. I'm going to put some shade cloth over them in the garden. I'm going to put them at the community garden. But yeah, this is going to be fun. These are single stem sunflowers that are specifically for a cut flower garden. This is how my front yard currently looks, the front yard flower beds, and you can see the sun's getting to some of it, and I've had deer eating the sunflowers, heads off of my sunflowers over here. But we do have some beauty. We have this beautiful yellow flower. In fact, I need to... Trellising has always been a weakness of mine, and you can see I have unsuccessfully trellised quite a bit. I have some dahlias over here that need watering, but actually need deadheading. But we have... This is... Oh, I let some go to seed. I didn't mean to do that. This is calendula. And I need to harvest these for medicinal purposes, but it's calendula. And you can tell when they start getting small heads like this that they need to be fertilized. So I just fertilized the community garden plots. I need to come here and fertilize these beds as well. Some marigolds and the echinacea, the coneflower. The pollinators are just loving it. Look at that. Yay! My black-eyed Susans, they're native, and a butterfly weed are both doing okay. They're not as full and lush this year, but again, I think the heat has contributed to that. In general, it seems to be doing pretty good. The massive pokeweed that's native that I let grow in our front yard is twice the size of last year, not surprisingly. I mean, look at the base of that thing. But this was a great plant that provides some really important fruit for birds and other creatures in the summer. So I let it grow here, and it's kind of cool. I kind of like its structure. One thing that's new is my Matsumo Blue asters are starting to bloom. They're going to be gorgeous. I definitely need to give them more fertilization and water. And I think this is another kind of aster that's going to be blooming. I can't tell what color it'll be yet. Still got some snapdragons coming in. A couple of the grandmother's pincushions still coming in. And the nasturtiums are really struggling. They're not really a high heat flower. I can tell I definitely need to water these even though we had rain last night. Even the salvia is struggling a little bit. We also have, this is phlox. This is caramel, I think, phlox that I started from seed this year, and my zinnias. I didn't have that many zinnia plants survive the seed starting process. Usually I have a really good survival rate, but this year it didn't do so great. But look how gorgeous these apricot peach zinnias are. I love having them in the yard, so I'm really excited about them. And here's, just so you don't think I have my crap together, here are two potted plants. This is celosia and marigolds that I still have yet to get in the ground, that I'm going to do this today, I swear. And here's a couple more too. I'm going to do this. And another potted plant that I haven't transplanted. These are coxcomb. No, the globe amaranth has found a way to survive and continue to bloom. So I need to get these guys transplanted up ASAP. That's crazy. Okay, so now, as promised, I'm going to show you what happened in the backyard. Are you ready? Check this out. This is the giant sweet gum tree that grows on our property line. That's probably about 85 to 90 feet up there. And if you look, you can see a part branch there. Well, right there, that branch fell and broke about 2 weeks ago into our backyard. And I was looking out the kitchen window and I saw it happen. Look how massive this thing is. It stops just short of our fence, and only a couple little branches ended up on our roof. Nothing was damaged that I could tell in our house, and our deck definitely got torn up, and I had to cut some branches away so the dogs could still access the backyard. I've had an arborist come from the city and look at the what happened and look at the tree, and he said that I definitely should get some more branches trimmed, but he doesn't think the tree is, he thinks that there was some water decay from a prior cut in this big branch. There's like a notch there at the end. It's like a notch there at the end that you can see that the water got into and made the branch to sort of decay and weaken. So I need to get some tree branches trimmed, and the same company that I'm going to have trim the tree, I'm going to have take this branch away. But let me show you how big this freaking thing is. Okay, this is the branch, and I brought a tape measure out. And let's see. It is 37 inches around. So it's a little more than 3 feet around, or this doesn't have centimeters on it, but I'll do the conversion for you. That's insane. I mean, my arms barely reach around this thing. I kind of almost want to keep it as like a place to lounge, but I definitely need to clear out the, clear it from the yard. But this thing is massive. This is the size of a small tree. This is the size of a large tree, regular tree, much less a branch of a tree. So we definitely have to get some trimming done of the tree, but I am so grateful and happy that nothing really was damaged. This deck we've been wanting to redo anyway. I do have to check with the insurance company to see if they'd cover damage to the deck since it's not attached to the house, but I'm kind of grateful that when this thing decided to fall, it fell in a way that didn't really hurt our house or our property to any reasonable extent. And one of our dogs was actually outside when it fell, but she was at the back door, far away from the branches came down, and so she didn't get hurt. So our dogs could have gotten killed. All kinds of things could happen, and I'm really, truly grateful. You can call it a miracle, you can call it whatever you want, but thank goodness that we were spared, because this would have been really bad for the house and us. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you all are surviving the heat or whatever conditions you're struggling with. Every year there's something new to struggle with in the garden. But remember to pay attention to the positives, the things that are successes, learn from the challenges, and I look forward to seeing you next time.